What's up, everybody? It's Loco here representing MMA Topics, MMAMadhouse.com, and Bleacher Report MMA. I'm going to be discussing, UFC 128, which takes place 3 days from today. First off, have a little bit of breaking news. Nam Fan is out for Ultimate Fight Night. I believe it's on the 26th, I think. Don't know the exact date, but the Korean Zombie is taking his spot. It's going to be fighting Winter Garcia. Rematch! Yes! Also, sorry, so happy about that. Anyway, so now we'll go over, the coming up fights. I'm not going to go over every single fight on the card. I'm just going to go over the main fights, well, the ones I think that are main fights, and then I'm going to give my predictions on the ones that are not my main fights. So the first fight I'm going to start with Ricardo Almeida versus Mike Powell. Mike Powell trains at Extreme Couture. He's a wrestler. He was actually brought back to the UFC to fight John Hathaway. He was expected to be kind of like a stepping stone for Hathaway to break into the mix, but instead, Powell comes on and, lays a smackdown and dominated Hathaway more than I've ever seen Hathaway dominated in his career. And now he's got himself into serious contender potential. He's getting close to breaking in that top, 8 to 10 of the division. And a win over Almeida would really help his case. Almeida, he was choked out by Matt Hughes, which was like an awesome submission, but he's a good jiu-jitsu fighter. He really has a chance to win this fight. I don't see why not. But the only problem is, I don't think he's going to be able to handle Mike Powell's wrestling. Powell he's very well rounded, but when he uses his wrestling, he uses it to an extent where it's really hard to kind of reverse that. I mean, Mike Powell holds a victory over John Fitch, which beating John Fitch is saying, yes, it was back when Fitch was a rookie, but still, hey, he still beat John Fitch, so that's cool. Alright, so in that fight, I'm going to take Mike Powell. I don't know how he's going to win it. Probably decisions, my guess, maybe TKO. But yeah, I think Mike Powell will win that fight. The next fight I'm going to be talking about will be Eric Koch versus Rafael Assunção. Assunção, I've always liked watching him fight. He's always been the one that I've always kept my eye on. Eric Koch, on the other hand, I've seen a few of his fights, but I know how dominant he is. Assunção should win this fight, but the problem is I think Koch's going to catch him, and I think he might score TKO or something in that fight. I'm truthfully taking Eric Koch in this fight. I've done a lot of research on him, and I don't have a reason not to take Koch in this fight. So that fight, it has potential to be really good. Also, next fight I'm going to talk about will be Nate Marquardt versus Dan Miller. Automatically, Dan Miller is counted out of this fight because, he stepped in last minute. Nate Marquardt, he's top 10 middleweight. He's got very good potential. The problem is he doesn't perform well in the big fights. Well, that being said, Dan Miller poses a lot more threat to Nate Marquardt than people think. Instantly when I saw this, I was like, wow, Dan's done. But really thinking about it, I can't instantly just count him out, automatically. Because when I think about it, Nate Marquardt was preparing to fight a guy that's good at judo, okay, and that would want to stand and bang. Now he's having to fight a guy who is he's a decent wrestler, but he's also really good in jiu-jitsu. So really, this is the kind of fight where now Nate Marquardt has to change his game plan just automatically, just in a week span to get ready for a new type of challenge. So really, both fighters are kind of coming in this fight with a disadvantage of the style-wise having to prepare. I'm going to give Marquardt the advantage due to the fact that he trains at Jackson's, and Greg Jackson is like a genius when it comes to game plans. So I'm going to take Nate Marquardt in this fight, but don't be surprised if Dan Miller, looks impressive and could possibly pull off the upset. I ain't going to just automatically count him out. I'm telling you, this fight could really be the sign of an upset. And plus, Nate Marquardt, in my opinion, he's fighting for his job in this fight. If he loses this fight, it's bye-bye UFC. Maybe hello Strikeforce, technically, since I guess they could sign him. I don't know the full detail of that yet. Alright, next one I'm talking about is Jim Miller versus Kamal Shalaru. Shalaru, he's never lost a fight. He's had 2 draws in his career. He looked really sloppy in his last bout. Jim Miller, he's an awesome fighter. His only 2 losses were to Frankie Edgar and Gray Manor, which are the 2 top lightweights in the UFC. So Miller, he's coming off that submission over Charles Oliveira, which is, in a lot of people's eyes saying, whoa, but we don't really know much about Oliveira because he beat, Efrain Escudero in a very impressive fashion, which it's not a bad win to have. But in a visual standpoint, you gotta realize, hey, you gotta prove yourself to be something. And Jim Miller, this fight right here is what's gonna put him either, hey, you have a chance to get towards the title shot, or it's back down the ladder. So that's how you gotta call that one. I'm gonna take Jim Miller in the fight. I think he's gonna I think he's actually gonna probably, I'd say, take it to decision because Kamal, he's good on the ground. He's entered a few grappling tournaments overseas, and all that. So I mean, both of them are good on the ground. But I'd say I'm gonna give the edge to Miller in this fight. I think he can win it. But I can't count Shaolin out. Again, I have not seen enough on this guy to know his true potential. But I know last time I saw him fight, he doesn't have much of a gas tank, so he could gas out in third and get choked out. Who knows? All right. Next one I'm talking about Mirko Krokop versus Brendan Schaub. Brendan Schaub's, he's kind of, he's a rookie to the sport, really. I think he's 7-1's his record. He lost the Ultimate Fighter finale to Roy Nelson via knockout. He got, caught, beautiful shot, knocked out cold. After that, he's won some good fights. He beat, Chris Tusher. He beat, who else he beat? I'm trying to think. I know there's like that no-name guy. I just can't remember his name off the top of my head right now. I hate when I have this brain farts like that. But regardless, I mean, he's beat a lot of good guys. So, I mean, not a lot of good guys, but the good guys would be a stepping stone. I mean, he also, the last fight beat Gabriel Gonzaga. I'm trying to remember that third person. He didn't look bad against Gonzaga. Gonzaga, I think if he would have pulled the trigger, could have won that fight against Schaub, in my opinion. But I just don't know with Schaub. I don't know really what to expect out of him. I mean, when he beat Chris Tusher, I called he was going to beat Chris Tusher. I wasn't stupid. Chris Tusher, not a bad fighter. He's just not UFC material. I've been saying that for a while. I don't want him in the UFC is what I'm trying to say. But Brendan in this fight, he does pose a semi-threat to Mirko. But the only problem for Brendan is he's just really more of a stand-up guy. His ground game is improving, day by day. The only problem is Mirko's got probably the best takedown defense at heavyweight, if you really think about it. It's very underrated. No one ever talks about it, but really look at it. How often do you see Mirko on his back? I mean, it's rare. But, you never know with Mirko what's going to happen. He's dangerous in all aspects. He's got very underrated jiu-jitsu. He's I think he might be one of the best kickboxers to ever fight in MMA. I'm not saying he's the best, and don't everybody say, oh, Alistair Overeem's better. I'm not saying anything like that. That's not even a debate to start. I'm just saying, right now what I'm saying is that Mirko's been the most dangerous kickboxer of all time in MMA. That right there I don't think that can seriously be argued. I'm talking about looking at his prime. Okay, right here, Mirko says, Brendan's a rookie. I like how Mirko's talking. He sounds like he's back. He says he's got that fire back. Lord, please let the fire be back. So, yes, I just said the prayer, the fire is back, and I want to see, one more. Lord, please let Brendan Schaub be introduced to the cemetery. Amen. Left leg, baby. Ow. Alright, so that's what I'm calling right now. I'm feeling one last leg kick. I feel that left leg is hitting Schaub right. Just knocking him out cold. Just got to send him to the cemetery. War Krokop. Krokop's going to take it. This is like the final hoorah, I think, for him, where he's going to get that, that good, solid head kick and win the fight. So, right leg hospital, we don't need none of that. Let's send him straight to the cemetery. War Krokop. Alright, next fight, Ian Loveland versus Joseph Benavidez. I don't even really want to give much of an analysis on this fight. I mean, Ian Loveland's a great fighter and all, but Joseph Benavidez is awesome. He is, he's arguably the number 2, bantamweight out there. I think, I don't see him losing to anyone besides Dominic Cruz until he faces, the other guys at 135, like Uriah Faber or freaking Renan Baralo Pagano, however you say the rest of his name is so long, or Mighty Mouse, or just people like that. I just don't know how he's going to do against those guys. But I don't see him losing to Ian Loveland in this fight. So I'm going to go ahead and just take Joseph Benavidez. This is a quick pick. I'm not saying anything wrong with Ian Loveland. I think Ian Loveland, he's going to put a good fight out there. I just don't see him beating Benavidez. So, all right. Next fight, Uriah Faber versus Eddie Wineland. That fight, at first, I was automatically like, Wineland, he was the past. Even though I know he scored 2 knockout of the nights in a row. But I was like, he's more of the past than the present. But, man, just looking at him train, hearing his past and stuff, I really see that he's going to put a good threat in this fight. I've never really liked Uriah Faber as a person. I respect him as a fighter. I always said that his time was up at 145, and he announced he's going to 135, and I was happy. I was like, all right, this is good for him. He needs this. So, this fight really, I think, Faber, he's not, he said he's not going to try to push the takedown and stuff because he's not, he's not going to try to get called or anything. I think really, the stand-up-wise, I think Eddie Wineland, man, he really could knock out Uriah Faber in this fight. I'm really on the fence in this fight. I don't even know who to take almost. I mean, this might be one of the best matchups the UFC has made in a long, long time. So, I'm going to say later rounds will give the advantage to Faber. If it goes into the third round, I give Faber by decision. I'm gonna say if it's gonna end early, it's gonna be Wineland by KO or TKO. I don't know what else to say. I mean, ugh, I'm stuck on the fence. I don't even have a true legit pick for that. So this is my toss up. All right, now the fights I didn't go over, I'm going to give my picks on those. I'm taking Gleison Tebow over Kurt Pellegrino. I like Pellegrino, but I think Tebow is going to take that one. I'm taking Edson Barbosa Jr. over Anthony Nokokwani, or however you say his name. I'm taking Nick Catone over Konstantinos Philippou, or however you say his name. That's a weird name. And then the one fight I think would be pretty good is Elliot Marshall versus Louis Arthur Kane, and I think Kane's going to take that. Louis Arthur Kane's he's a veteran. I personally think he's going to beat Elliot Marshall in this fight. Though Elliot Marshall may win. I really don't know. I haven't really done too much research on this fight as I should, but I'm going to say Kane. And I've always liked Louis Arthur Kane. So, all right, now it's time for the main event of the evening. But before that, I'm going to give you a word from our sponsor. You ready for this? Go to MMAmadhouse.com for your best MMA news when you need it and now. MMAmadhouse.com. Alright, sorry. How am I doing that? Alright, so the main event, Shogun Rua versus John Bones Jones. John Bones Jones technically has never even been dominated in his career. You know, he's never been beat, literally. I mean, he has that one loss, but it was by disqualification. Yes, it was on fault throwing 12-6 elbow. But that being said, you know, he's beat the mess out of everybody's fault. The best people he's beat is like Brandon Barrett and Vladimir Masterchenko. I mean, Ryan Bader's good and all. He's got the knockout power, but come on, he ragdolled him. That was pretty bad. I mean, he's ragdolled everybody, but the only problem in the difference is he's never fought anyone with the caliber that Shogun Rua has. See, the thing is, stand-up wise, he's gonna try to be flashy. That's not a smart thing to do with Shogun. You be flashy with Shogun, you be cocky in that cage, you see what happens. Shogun's gonna catch you and knock you out cold. That's just Mauricio Shogun Rua for you. Personally, in this fight, Jones posed a pretty big threat because of size, but if you think about it, Shogun's fought guys like that. Like they said in primetime, he's fought freaking Diabate, he's fought Overeem and beat Overeem twice. Overeem's got a pretty good reach. I think his reach is only like 2 inches smaller than Bones. This is a threat like that. Overeem he was a lot like Bones. And the thing is, I think Shogun, he's really bad. They say he's as healthy as he's ever been. They say he feels great going into this fight. You know, compared to past camps, they've said, you know, it's kind of been a toss-up. This right here, we're going to see Mauricio Shogun Rua at his finest tomorrow night. Shogun Rua will not, disappoint anyone. Tomorrow night, mark my words, Mauricio Shogun Rua will win this fight via first-round knee bar. Mark my words. If he doesn't win by that, then he's going to win either other way. But either way, I'm going with Shogun Rua, my pick, first-round knee bar. I hope it happens. So that's my picks, everybody. Check me on Twitter at SlowCoMania. Check the boys out at MMA Topics. Also follow them on Twitter at DiBiase-GDP, Dukes Jones. Find me at Bleacher Report. You know, just look at my profile, Cody Slavinsky. Find me on there. I've been writing for him for the past few weeks. Go to MMAmadhouse.com, the best website online. Have a good one. That's all I got to say. And War Crow Cop, War Shogun, Pride for life.